All right, let's kick off another deep dive. Today, we're taking on something I know a lot of you are thinking about.
Building online communities.
Exactly. And specifically, we're going to zoom in on nutrition communities.
Perfect.
Our guide for this deep dive, Chapter 2 of Design for Community. The art of connecting real people in virtual places.
Really gets to the heart of things, that chapter.
I know, it emphasizes how content is king. Like, even before you get to forums or any of that.
Yeah. It's like what the user experiences before they even start chatting with other users sets the whole vibe, you know?
Totally. So how do we, as someone like building a nutrition community, how do we make content that just draws people in?
Well, they actually use a really interesting example in the book, The Well. It was like this early online community way back in the day.
Oh, wow.
It was all about discussions, which was great, you know, before the web exploded.
Right.
But then suddenly everyone was talking online. So The Well had to figure out how to stand out. Content became the answer.
Makes sense.
Hmm.
You need something unique to talk about. It's not enough just to have a platform for chatting.
Right. So what kind of content would draw people to a nutrition community? That's the question, right?
For sure.
And the chapter dives into the importance of tone. It's what they call the echo chamber effect. You put out a certain type of content.
And you attract a similar kind of response.
Exactly. Like they give the example of Fucked Company.
Oh, yeah. That website.
Super negative, right? Almost
Yeah.
like their own brand of humor.
Definitely not for everyone.
No, but it works for their audience.
That's true. It's important to know your audience.
Totally. And if Fuck Company suddenly tried to be all positive and happy, their users would probably be like, what's going on here?
For sure. Okay, so thinking about the echo chamber idea for a nutrition community.
Yeah.
If the content's all about, like, restrictive diets,
Oh, I see where you're going.
you might end up attracting people who develop an unhealthy obsession with food.
Right. It highlights how being aware of the tone you set is especially crucial with sensitive topics like nutrition.
Totally. So how do you make sure the tone is, like, encouraging healthy interactions? The book seems to be a big fan of personal stories.
Oh, yeah. They actually share an example from the author's own site fray.
Interesting. What happened?
Well, they asked this simple question: where were you when the clock struck midnight? Got
Yeah.
over 500 responses.
Wow. That's amazing.
And they weren't just any responses, all positive and engaging. The author even quotes someone saying, personal stories make people feel unique and invested.
That's awesome. But I'm curious, like, in a nutrition community, wouldn't sharing personal stories be a bit risky?
How so?
Well, what if it triggers unhealthy comparisons or leads to, like, bad advice?
I see your point. It's definitely something to be mindful of.
Yeah.
But I think that's where having clear guidelines for the community is really important. You can encourage sharing, personal stories, but also stress the importance of respecting different experiences. And of course, always seeking professional advice when needed.
So it's all about balance. I like that.
Exactly.
But I do love this idea of using personal stories to connect. In a nutrition community, what kind of story would work?
Well, think about your own journey with nutrition. What got you interested in the first place?
I think for me, it was when I realized how much what I ate impacted my energy levels and even my mood.
There you go. See? That's a great example.
Really?
Yeah, it's relatable. It shows your human side, why you care about nutrition.
I guess so.
It doesn't have to be this dramatic, over-the-top story, just something genuine.
That makes sense. And then you could maybe invite people to share their aha moments too.
Exactly. The book also talks about how Caleb Clark uses this regular "how was your week" thread to build connection.
I've heard about that. Seems so simple.
Right.
But I can see how it would really encourage people to open up, especially in a community focused on nutrition.
Totally. Because people might be dealing with their relationship with food,
Yeah.
Body image stuff.
Yeah. Like, imagine a weekly thread where people could share their struggles with sticking to a diet or celebrate their wins. Like, hey, I finally ate a vegetable today.
Exactly. You're creating this safe space for vulnerability and support.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about personal stories, but the book gives this whole recipe for content that works.
Oh, yeah. The recipe.
Be personal, which we've covered. Be nice.
Hmm.
That seems self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But what does being nice mean in a nutrition community specifically?
I'd say it's about creating a judgment-free zone, encouraging positive interactions, no shaming, no negativity.
Right. Makes sense. And what about being inclusive? What does that look like?
It's about making sure everyone feels welcome and represented, sharing diverse perspectives on nutrition, showcasing content from different members, making sure everyone feels heard.
Love it. It's like building this big welcoming table. Everyone's got a seat.
Exactly.
What about be honest? Does that mean like being upfront about the challenges of healthy eating?
It could, but also being transparent with your community, admitting when you don't have all the answers, being open to feedback.
I feel like that's extra important in the nutrition world
Yeah.
because there's just so much conflicting info out there.
It is. Being honest about the complexity can actually build trust. Like, hey, I don't have all the answers, but we can figure this out together.
I like that. Okay, this is all super helpful. It feels like we're laying a solid foundation for a supportive and informative community.
Yeah.
The book then talks about Metafilter, this site built on sharing interesting links.
Oh, yeah.
And what's fascinating is how the creator, Matt Hawley, like shapes the community just through his voice and how he frames those links.
Right. Even though it's all external content, he makes Metafilter feel like its own special place. He talks about how he shifted from just posting links to actively engaging with the community.
I'm curious, how did he do that?
He started asking personal questions, like, what's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you? Simple but effective.
Wow. So even in a community about sharing links, that personal touch matters. How would that translate to like a nutrition community?
Well, think about how you could present information in a way that reflects your personality and values. Maybe you share a link to a study about the Mediterranean diet, right?
Okay.
But then you follow it up with your own story about how you use those principles in your life.
I like that. Makes it more
Yeah.
personal. Or maybe you could do a weekly Q&A,
Yeah.
where you bust nutrition myths
Yeah.
or give tips based on what people are asking.
Exactly. And just like Matt with his Q&A approach, it would create this cool interactive space. You're not just sharing info, you're shaping the conversation.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've talked about content, tone, and now engagement. Anything else we should keep in mind for building this community? What about getting people beyond just passively reading? Like, how do you get them participating?
We touched on it a bit with the Q&A idea, highlighting important topics, but
Yeah.
there's more we can do. Like, remember how Matt Hawley had success with those personal questions?
Yeah.
That's a great way to break the ice.
So instead of just sharing an article about plant-based protein, I could be like, hey, everyone, what's your favorite plant-based meal?
Exactly. It gets people sharing their own experiences. That's what community is all about. You could also, ask thought-provoking questions, host polls or quizzes, even encourage some friendly debates.
Ooh, I like that. Like beans or lentils, which is the superior legume.
Exactly. It's fun, gets people talking, and think about gamification.
Gamification, like awarding badges for participation.
Exactly. Or contests. People share their favorite healthy recipes or workouts.
I can see that working really well for nutrition students.
Oh, totally. They're always looking for new ideas.
And speaking of nutrition students, they could really add to the community, couldn't they?
They could. Super engaged audience. They're eager to learn and make a difference.
So what kind of content would resonate with them?
Think study guides, exam tips, career advice, things to help them succeed.
Ah, I see. Like giving them the tools they need.
Yeah. You could even help them connect with mentors or potential employers.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
It's like building a network just for them.
It is. A built-in support system for future nutrition pros. You could even host virtual study groups or case study discussions.
Ooh, I like that.
Gets them applying what they're learning from each other.
Totally. And then there's real-world experience, too.
Yeah.
Like, you could connect students with volunteer opportunities or internships.
Love that. Hands-on experience makes a huge difference. Imagine setting up a mentorship program.
That would be incredible. Where experienced nutritionists could guide students, help them navigate their education and careers.
It would be amazing. It's about making them feel valued, supported, helping them pursue their passion.
So inspiring.
Yeah.
I feel like we're painting a picture of what a truly thriving nutrition community could be. But it's important to remember, building a community takes time.
Absolutely. It's not an overnight thing.
And it goes beyond just the platform or the content. It's about the people.
Exactly. Fostering genuine connections, creating a space where people feel heard, valued, empowered.
So well said. All right, we've covered content, tone, participation, even how to cater to nutrition students. Is there anything else we need to keep in mind as we build this community?
I think the biggest thing is remembering that it's a journey, not a destination.
Ah, okay.
It takes constant effort. You have to be adaptable, willing to listen and learn from the community.
It's not about having all the answers, but being open to evolving.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment. See what your audience responds to and adjust your approach as you go.
This has been so insightful. I feel like I have a much clearer vision of what it takes to build a successful nutrition community.
Me too. And you could even take that Q&A idea a step further.
Oh, how so?
Like picture a weekly thread where you're debunking common nutrition myths, you know,
That's a good idea.
or offering personalized tips based on what people are asking.
Yeah, it's like a way to answer those individual questions that come up all the time, but in a way that benefits the whole community.
Exactly. And you could even make it like a fun thing.
Oh, like what?
Like Myth-Busting Monday or something catchy like that.
I like it. Yeah, it makes nutrition information more accessible,
Yeah.
more engaging. And, one thing that really stuck with me from the book was how Matt used Metafilter to spotlight important topics.
Oh, yeah.
Like on World AIDS Day, he used the platform to focus the community's attention on the issue.
Yeah.
And it sparked these really insightful conversations.
It's a powerful reminder that you have a responsibility as a community leader.
Right.
You can curate content and guide the conversation in a way that's both informative and meaningful.
So for someone building a nutrition community, that might mean highlighting topics like eating disorders,
Yeah,
food insecurity,
sure.
the environmental impact of different diets.
Absolutely. Those are all crucial conversations to be having.
Right.
And as the community leader, you can create a space where those topics can be explored in a safe and respectful way.
That's so important. And it all ties back to what we were talking about earlier with the echo chamber effect.
Right.
By being mindful of the content you share and the tone you set, you can cultivate a community that's both supportive and thought-provoking.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to set clear guidelines for the community.
Okay.
Matt Hawley wasn't afraid to turn people off if they weren't a good fit for Metafilter.
Yeah.
It's about creating a space where everyone feels comfortable and respected, even if it means being selective about who can participate.
That's a really good point, especially in the world of nutrition, where things can get heated quickly
Oh, yeah,
when it comes to different diets or approaches.
totally. It's your responsibility to ensure that the community remains a safe and welcoming space for everyone.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about content and tone,
Right.
but what about encouraging active participation? How do you get people beyond just passively consuming content to actually engaging and contributing? Right.
Yeah, well, we touched on this a bit with the Q&A idea and highlighting important topics, but there are other ways to foster active participation as well.
Like what?
Well, the book mentions that Matt Hawley found success with asking personal questions.
Oh, right, right.
That could be a great way to break the ice and encourage people to open up.
So instead of just sharing a link to an article about the benefits of plant-based protein, you
Yeah.
could ask, what's your favorite plant-based meal?
Exactly. It invites people to share their own experiences and perspectives, which is what community is all about.
Yeah.
You could also pose thought-provoking questions related to nutrition topics, host polls or quizzes, or even encourage friendly debates.
Well, I like the idea of friendly debates.
Yeah.
Maybe something like beans or lentils, which is the superior legume.
Perfect. It's a fun and lighthearted way to spark conversation and encourage people to share their opinions and think about how you can create a sense of playful competition or gamification within the community.
Gamifications like what awarding badges for participation.
Exactly. Or maybe you host contests where members can share their favorite healthy recipes or workout routines.
I can see that working really well, especially for nutrition students who are always looking for new ideas and inspiration.
Absolutely. And speaking of nutrition students, they could be a really valuable asset to your community.
Oh, in what way?
Well, they're a highly engaged audience with a thirst for knowledge and a desire to make a difference in the world.
Yeah.
You could create content specifically tailored to their needs and interests.
Like what kind of content?
Think study guides, exam tips, career advice, things that would help them succeed in their studies and future careers. You could also provide opportunities for them to connect with mentors or potential employers in the field.
That's such a great idea. It's like creating a built-in network of support for future nutrition professionals.
It is.
You could even host virtual study groups or case study discussions, giving them a chance to apply their knowledge and learn from each other.
I love that it brings a practical hands-on element to the community and fosters collaboration. And don't forget about the power of real-world experience.
Oh, yeah.
You could connect students with volunteer opportunities or internships where they can gain hands-on experience and make a tangible impact.
Imagine creating a mentorship program where experienced nutrition professionals guide and support students as they navigate their education and early careers.
Yeah.
What a fantastic way to foster a sense of community and pay it forward.
It's about creating a space where students feel valued, supported, and inspired to pursue their passions.
This is all so inspiring. It really paints a picture of what a thriving nutrition community could look like. But I think it's important to remember that building a community takes time and consistent effort.
You're absolutely right. It's not something that happens overnight.
And it's not just about the platform or the content. It's about the people. It's
Yeah.
about fostering genuine connections and creating a space where people feel heard, valued, and empowered.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about nurturing a sense of belonging and shared purpose. And that takes commitment, passion, and a genuine love for the topic you're building around.
So we've talked about content, tone, participation,
Yeah.
and the unique needs of nutrition students. Is there anything else we should keep in mind as we're building this community?
I think it's important to remember that building a community is an ongoing journey, not a destination.
Okay.
It takes constant effort, adaptation, and a willingness to listen and learn from your community members.
That's such a good point. It's not about having all the answers, but rather being open to evolving along with the community.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment and try new things. See what resonates with your audience and adjust your approach accordingly.
This whole conversation has been incredibly insightful. I feel like I have a much clearer vision of what it takes to build a thriving nutrition community.
Me too. It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
It feels like we've really gotten into like the DNA of what makes a community work.
It is fascinating, isn't it? And the impact it can have.
Huge. It goes way beyond just, swapping recipes or workout tips.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
about empowering people to actually make positive changes.
Creating that sense of belonging, support, inspiration even.
And that's something we could all use a little more of these days. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you hope our listener walks away with?
I really hope they realize that building a successful community isn't about being the ultimate expert.
It's not about having all the answers.
Exactly. It's more about creating the right environment.
Okay.
It's about those genuine connections, encouraging open conversations, a space where people feel safe to share and support each other.
And maybe even challenge each other in a healthy way, of course.
Oh, absolutely. A little debate can be a good thing. It sparks new ideas.
So, to our listener, as you start building your nutrition community, remember, it's about more than just the information.
It's about creating a space where people feel seen, heard, where they feel like they matter.
And where they can connect with others who share their passion for nutrition.
Who knows? Maybe the connections made in your community will lead to some amazing things.
Like what?
Breakthroughs in research, new ways of thinking about healthy eating, maybe even inspire the next generation of nutrition leaders.
Now, that's a powerful thought. The ripple effects of bringing people together like that.
It's incredible.
It really is. Well, it's been fantastic exploring these ideas with you.
Likewise, I'm feeling very inspired.
Me too. And to our listener, we'll leave you with this. What unique contribution will you make to the world of online nutrition communities?
We can't wait to see what you create. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.